Alexa Lavoie for Rebel News, and today I'm joined by the well-known Jasmin Laine, who spent over a decade working with the mainstream media before deciding to break free and start her own YouTube channel. She's gained a large following for her direct and honest commentary on politics and social issues. Jasmin was invited to speak at the United Against Extremism conference in Toronto, where she shared her perspective on extremism in the digital era. I had the opportunity to speak with her about her personal journey, from working within the legacy media to becoming an independent voice. Let's hear what she had to say today.
There were so many things. It was one of the reasons why I left October 7th, as an example, when that took place. Very much instructed, don't you dare talk about this at all. And while they may not say that directly to your face, because they could risk some violations in terms of company policy by doing that, there were so many things when it came to what was going on in our country where you knew not to talk about things, and you knew that you could end up like the last guy who talked about things. And so there was always a very big fear of that. And also, I will say that the vast majority of mainstream news outlets, whether that be local TV shows, local radio stations, they all use the same sources and press releases as CTV and CBC do. And you do not move away from that narrative at all. And it doesn't matter if there's other sources that are 100% credible. If you have a different opinion, you are not allowed to share your opinion.
There were so many things that happened over the years where you kind of know that you're not allowed to talk about certain things. You know what happens when you do. You know the little slaps on the wrist you get. And it was just such an unstable industry in that way. And there were so many things that I said that like stories, news stories in particular, things that we would talk about that just didn't matter. Like they really didn't matter. And I think for myself, as somebody who's always been conservative leaning, it was really impossible to be in a situation where I go to work every single day and I have to talk about things that most people don't care about, that doesn't matter.
I will say as well, I think it's rather foolish to be of the mind that we need more laws in order to protect people. Ideally, we need people to enforce the laws that we currently have. That would be nice. And in terms of, free speech and censorship, there is in no world, and maybe this is more of a moral issue with myself, but there is in no world somewhere where I am comfortable knowing, and I'm not comfortable knowing that this is our reality right now, where a government body, especially one I did not vote for, is in control of what we see, what we hear, and simultaneously or subconsciously through that, what we believe, what we think, what we know. And I would say if there's anything I've learned from being in this space online now versus being in mainstream, it is truly how many people do not know and how much that propaganda, because that is exactly what it is by definition, how much that spreads because people think it's true.
Definitely there's this big threat of misinformation being used as only something that apparently dissenting voices of the Liberal government can be plagued with. Isn't it kind of funny how Liberals are never spread misinformation, but Conservatives, they're filled with it. So that and just the rhetoric behind that, I think, is deeply concerning. And then also, censorship is huge. There are so many Canadians who have no idea what the ramifications of certain bills like C11, C18, C63, which they're looking to put back in as well, what the ramifications of that are, of what you see and what you hear and what you know and what you think. Because ultimately, if you don't have access to information, which a lot of Canadians don't, and when it comes to transparency as well, Canada ranks very low on a global scale of how transparent our government is and how easy it is to get files and documentation. And that is deeply concerning. I would argue censorship and all of the above, all of these bills, all of these things that are, it's for your protection, but it's not actually, because you don't need to tell me what to think in order to protect me. I'm a human being and I can figure it out. I think that's probably one of the greatest threats to our democracy, more than anything.
I think a lot of us in many ways, there's so many threats that you can get from people who want to shut you up, but a lot of us we've been to hell and back already, and there is almost nothing of any true meaning that anybody can take away from us at this point in time. I can't work in mainstream media anymore. That was my career for 11 years. But I don't care, actually, because I know that I'm following my heart and I'm doing my best to be true. And I have wonderful people like this who talk me off ledges when they come, who give me advice, who have my back and support me. And that's what the world's all about, is it not? It's that community.
When you have our prime ministers up on stage making fun of an American president, it's ridiculous. And when you have, and even that too, it's rippled into there's 45-year-old liberal women who comment on my videos calling me a maggot. I'm like, you have pictures of your children in your profile. What are you doing? You're just so taken over by this ideology of I'm a good person because I'm a liberal, and I'm a liberal because I'm a good person. And that is as deep as it gets. And anybody who doesn't think like me is a bad person. And therefore, I'm not even going to try to think any differently now. I just think in general, the division is, and it's intentional. We've seen this happen for years as well. But even with Justin Trudeau, calling people a fringe minority, calling people an ist and phobe when they aren't at all, actually. And that's really made things challenging for people, because you do have a bit of a moral high ground if you're on one side or the other, and you're viewed as a bad person if you're on the other side. And so I think that that's really challenging. Immigration is obviously a massive issue in this country. There's nothing racist about saying that. It is a problem when you have immigrants coming to Canada who can't afford homes and have nowhere to live and can't find jobs. That's a big problem for them and for us as well.
You need to say what you think, and nobody is coming to save you. So you need to save yourself. You need to fight for it, save the things that you love and care about and find dear. And it's wonderful when we're able to report on things that are given to us from inside sources and whatnot. But at the end of the day, if there's something that's really important, you don't need necessarily to wait on a CBC to publish it. You need to say what you think and stand up for what you believe in, and not because you were told to by a university professor, but because you actually put in the time and research and know, and you care about it because it matters and you know the truth.
It's very difficult in the digital age, and the answer to it, the solution to it, is absolutely not censorship of Canadian citizens at all.
Mm-hmm. And how do you see the future under Mark Carney?
A million times worse than Justin Trudeau. I don't know if you've read his book Values. I have twice. It's scary. That is a man who wants power and control, and that's it. Nothing else matters to him. And I think that's quite clear as well when you look at his priorities right now. Even on the campaign trail, he had this one quote, and I'm paraphrasing here, where he had said essentially that it was hate, misogyny, radicalism from the United States seeping into Canada through their tech companies. Just outrageous, and also demonstrably false, the claims that he makes against his opponents. It's sickening to me. And that to me it's such a clear signal of what it is that he wants. And I think at this point, and people will say that you're crazy, you're a radical for saying that. And I'm actually just reading and following the data. And here's where it's leading me. And I don't like it. When you have a man who says that Karl Marx inspired him, when you have a man who says that, the Chinese Communist Party inspires him, it's something that he has looked up to. He's been quoted saying things of that nature. That's deeply concerning. And that's something that shouldn't be taken lightly and laughed off. That matters. What you say matters. Who you follow and trust matters. And, what do we have? We have Mark Wiseman, who's a part of the Century Initiative. Great. Can't wait for that to come into place. We can already see how helpful it's been. And on top of Gerald Butts and all of these people involved, it's just sickening to me. It's so sickening to me, and it's scary. More than anything, I think when it comes to the future of Canada, I pray that this isn't the case. I pray that Mark Carney does a phenomenal job and proves me to be a dead liar who got it so wrong. I hope that that happens. I don't think it will.
Really important conference like that, and no mainstream media showed up, but we are here to show you the other side of the story. So if you appreciate our work and you want to support us, please go over rebelfieldreports.com, chip in whatever you want, couple of bucks to help us to continue to show you the other side of the story, because I drove from Montreal to Toronto to show you. Thanks.